Welcome to Brands on Tap, the podcast where we discuss all things brand related.
So whether you're a business owner, industry expert, or simply interested, this podcast is for you.
So hi, welcome to a new episode of Brands on Tap, and this one is an interesting one because this is a brand new one. It's a brand new series which is about creative sector secrets, and the whole aim is to aim at people in the creative sector. Either they work in that sector or they own businesses within that sector. So it's an interview one-on-one with industry people that own businesses in that sector. It could be videography, it could be marketing, it could be a creative industry, whatever it might be. But there's little insights and little nuggets that we've all learnt over the years. And so this series basically is to try and pinpoint some of those things so that we can all learn from it basically and share the knowledge. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce you to Darren Graydon from SPS Marketing, a good friend of mine. And yeah, Darren, if you can just give us a brief overview about you and your business.
Yes, so thanks for having me. I'm Darren and I'm from SPS Marketing. We're a small creative agency based in Newton Abbot, and we specialise in helping people raise their branding up to be a more authentic representation of what they actually like to work with.
Yep.
So that's like making sure that the brand comes across really well, and then helping them with bringing all the touch points of their marketing in line to make sure that they're attracting the right people in the right way.
Sounds good. And how many people are in your team?
We're a small team of three that do the work, and then we have a network of freelancers. A few years ago we were a bit larger, but with the way the world changed recently, we prefer to use a freelance network for the specialisms like video, photography, copywriting, illustration, and just keep a full-time paid team on the design, the management, and the outbound sales.
Yeah, well, that's interesting in itself as a model, and we might touch on that a little bit later on when we talk through the next bit. So the very first question is, what led you to start or buy into an agency, and what problem were you originally trying to solve?
Yeah, okay. Well, I guess I got into owning a business because I was working in a creative agency in the Exeter area at the time, and I learned a lot about improving clients' work, making sure that their company was coming across well. I was getting much better at the design, and I really enjoyed that. But there were things in the business that frustrated me. I wasn't running the business, I was just heading up the design, and I thought, if this was my company, I would do it differently.
Yeah.
There were some things about how clients were treated, or how clients treated us, that was kind of like the company had this way of working where the customer's always right, and whatever they want, you just, doesn't matter how rude they are to you, you just do what they want because that's what you're here for. You're a supplier, and that didn't really ring that well with me. And sometimes it just felt like we worked with some great people, but it also felt like we worked with some people that if I had the choice, I wouldn't want to be working with these people because they weren't given life. They were kind of taking it. And so it came about that I was working on a project with someone who became a very good friend, and we did a great job for him. And he said, this has been brilliant working with you. Why don't we do it all the time? Why don't we do this for other people? Why don't you set up your own company? And I think it came at a time where I was kind of ready for a change. I'd done about 7.5 years there, and I was like, it was great, and I learned so much. But it was time to go and make my own way. And so rather than building someone else's company, it was time to take the jump and build my own.
Yep.
Yeah.
And you never look back.
Well, I know I look back every week. Essentially, it's an up and down industry, isn't it? It
certainly is.
We have to wear our hearts on our sleeves. You're creating things that you hope are going to land well.
Yeah.
And that can be an up and down roller coaster. But it's been a good journey. That shift was like 10 years ago. So I've been at this game running my own agency for 10 years now. And I think the reason, so that was one of the reasons why I wanted to jump, to do it on my own terms, and I wanted to be able to choose the people that we get to work with.
Yeah.
And say no to the people that would not be good for us. And that was really, really key for us. But there was a problem I was trying to solve in creating an agency, which was I would spend my time going around seeing businesses, and I'd go into places and I'd talk to them, see their team, how they treated their team, got to understand their values, how they were really good at what they did, what their angle was. And that was a really nice picture of what the reality of that business was. But then you look at their signage, their vehicle graphics, their menus, their website, or every touch point, and it was nothing like that. And
it's a big disconnect.
A huge disconnect. And I just call that the gap. So for me, I just saw these people that are really good, and people would recommend them, and then you would go work with them and you'd be really happy too. But if someone's not been able to introduce you to them, why would you ever work with them? Because they're not representing what the reality is. So my game was, I'm going to set up a company that's going to help businesses identify that gap, and then we have the skills to be able to close that gap. By bringing their brand up, by bringing all their marketing materials up, so that that's a more authentic representation of the reality of that business.
Yeah. So, question 2. What was the biggest turning point in your agency's story? A success, failure, or challenge that changed how you operated?
Well, I don't have one. I'd have, obviously. But I have
that feeling.
I have, I guess, 3 things that are key, definitive parts of the journey. Number 1 was when we took the choice to bring on a studio coordinator, because typically creative industry is run by creative people, and we're a very particular type, and very rarely are we the full package.
Particular is like in inverted commas, yeah?
Yeah. You're the exception because you've got some sort of superpowers around business and that, which I find rare in gifted designers.
It is very rare, I think, in creatives.
Yeah, really rare. So like, we're not the best people to run a business. I don't know why people let us do it. It's bonkers. And the key point for us, we ran the company for I guess 7 years. And then we finally got to the place, 7.5 years, and we got to a place where we said, we need someone to come in and organize us and focus on the systems, make sure that the clients know what's happening and when they should expect it, make sure the invoices is being done correctly, and just making sure that the designer's schedule is done properly so they can spend their time designing and not trying to chase clients for feedback, just to try and sharpen up. So that was the key one for us. And we employed Christina. She's been great for us. She's never done it before. We have this policy, it seems, of employing people who have never done the job before. Our designer never worked as a graphic designer before. He was a chef in London for years, a creative, brilliant designer, great guy.
That's a brave move.
Yeah, well,
brave move.
I think you know when you meet the person. Like, if you see the person and you get that connection, you go, you can learn the skills, but you can't learn the essence of someone. So that's been a really interesting marker for us. I never set out to not employ people that had any experience.
That's an interesting point, actually, because like the conceptual brain, like I've always said this, like it doesn't matter like whether you're the creative, you're the graphic designer within the business, or whether you're the accountant in the business, or whatever you might be in the business, right? Sometimes the best idea can come from anyone in the business. Doesn't necessarily have to come from the graphic designer. And I think that is a misconception quite often. And sometimes when you pigeonhole somebody into that role, you're solely reliant on that person to always come up with the ideas, when there may be other great ideas coming from other people within your team.
Yeah, definitely. So getting these people into the business was because studio coordinator is not a fee earner in the strictest sense. And I know we've had conversations in the past about, fee earners, non-fee earners, and when a business gets to a certain size, how you can have more management than people who actually bill time, and how difficult that can be. And you've got stories that you could tell. But for us, that was a big step, and that really helped focus us, which brings us to the second major step for us, which was focusing down on our niche, starting to get confident enough to say this is what we do, this is what we're really good at, and saying no to what we're not so good at.
Yeah.
Saying no to things that we could do, but they push us out of our comfort zone. We don't mind being out of our comfort zone, but that we're not the best people to do it. You know, we're not specialists in that area. So focusing down on, we're going to focus on closing the gap in people's brands.
Yep.
That's our thing. And people come to us and say, can you do this? I was asked to speak at an event 2 days ago, and they said, I want you to speak about websites. And I said, no. We do websites, but only as a part of the whole brand journey.
Wix.
No. we do not do Wix websites. But, you know, we do websites to a certain level. Therefore, we're not qualified to talk about them. We don't do the specialist ones that you guys do. But, so focusing on that has been key for us.
Yeah.
And it gave us confidence to say, well, who we are, who we're not, what we want to take on and what we don't want to take on. And then the third one, the biggest one, was actually buying another agency, which I've never bought a business before.
Yeah.
It's not for the faint-hearted.
I've never done it. So, I'd be interested to know your views on that.
Yeah, well, I can say it was a really good thing to do now. Like, we are 3 years in. So we bought a bigger company than ourselves. We knew the company before the purchase, had a long relationship with the company.
Yep.
And it just turned out that they were going to come to an end and said, look, you know the clients, you know the sort of work we do, you know the history, you know the suppliers, and it makes sense. Do you want to buy it?
Yeah.
So we thought about it, and that's going to help us, because we were struggling at the time. You know, we'd come out of COVID, and COVID was really hard for us as a small studio. You know, there was only 4 of us at that time, and that was a really tricky one. And what we were lacking was bigger customers who spent regularly.
Yep.
You know, we were always having to go out and find new customers to start a new job.
Well, that's a conveyor belt then, isn't it? 'Cause you have to kind of constantly get new work.
Yep.
Some of those projects will drop off the back.
Yep.
You know, they're not going to repeat their order again for maybe 6-12 months.
No.
So then you got to chase the next project and so on.
Yeah. That we noticed that was hard. So buying this agency gave us a calendar of events, basically. We would know that in the spring we would be doing these types of jobs. In the summer we would be doing a big sales brochure, and then leading up to Christmas we would be doing these things. And so we went into it, having never done it before, and it taught me a few things. I think if anyone's thinking about buying an agency or another business, I would double down on your due diligence.
Yep.
Spend longer looking at the detail, because a business is a big thing, and it's very hard to understand exactly how it's been built and why they do things the way they do. And only by then starting it do you discover all the things that you never really thought about. So the due diligence thing is really key. We then had to merge 2 businesses together and take one name. And which meant we had to merge the clients into our way of doing business. So we've bought this business that has clients that are used to being serviced by their way of working.
Well, it's a different culture, isn't it?
Yeah, very different, which led to house cleaning. In a strangest way, we had to lose clients, and we had to lose suppliers, because they just did not operate in line with our values or in line with the way that we like to work. And that was a bumpy road, I think, because I wanted to obviously retain as much of the business as possible, but ultimately it wasn't good for us to try to keep them, so we let them go. And naturally, some suppliers don't want to work with us because we work differently. So cleaning house was a long road, but hey, it's clean now, and it is our house, and that's what's really great. Anyone that we work with, they know our way, and they like that, and that's why they work with us.
Well, the ones that have stayed are likely to have benefited from that whole process, because, I mean, they wouldn't have stayed with you if obviously they didn't like the culture and the way that you were producing the work. So, you know, to go through that whole process, and, you know, chances are that they're probably getting a, dare I say it, substandard level of work, and they've come out of it now with a better quality of work, probably a better working relationship with their agency. So they've benefited all round. And the ones that didn't want to fit into that new culture, as you said, I mean, you're probably better off without them, really.
Yeah, we feel lighter in ourselves about it, and we, the ones that it was no longer viable to work with, we wish them well. We hope that they're going to do well where they go, and yeah, and it's all going forwards. If you said to me, Darren, I've got another agency for sale, do you want to go for it? Do you want to buy it? That would be a long, hard chat and many nights down the pub having a proper soul
Well, if you've got
search.
100 mil,
Yeah.
you can buy ours.
Yeah, I would, maybe I would buy another agency in the future if the environment was right and the time was right and we were in a place to do so.
Yeah.
But I would not go into it lightly. No way. And I certainly wouldn't do it if I was just creatives running a creative business with no other sort of business support or no other like historical business acumen in business acquisition, finance, all that stuff that you need.
You do. You need a full remit. And I jest about selling the business. I mean, to be brutally honest, I would never want to sell it because I genuinely love what I do. And I think, that's coming across from yourself too. So, yeah.
Well, that's a good thing, isn't it? The beauty of our industry is we get to do what we love. It's just most of our time we have to spend convincing clients that they should do what we love. They should really go for this because it will be awesome and it will transform their business. And then when they say yes, we go, oh, this is great. This is a great thing.
Yeah, that's a good point, actually, because, I mean, the whole point of building a good relationship with a client is that over time, and sometimes this doesn't happen initially, but over time, they buy into your vision. So you're selling that dream. And if they know that dream leads to either more inquiries, selling more product, more click-throughs, or whatever it might be, whatever the metric is, then in time they'll trust that vision, and then they'll spend more time and more money with you. And that's what, like you said, that's what the hardest part of our job is, really, especially in the early days with a new client, is trying to convince them that, we're putting these plans and setting these processes out in place to produce this level of work or this campaign which involves X, Y, Z. But the benefit is by doing all those things, yes, it might cost you a bit more money, but the return is going to be much better.
Yeah.
So it's a difficult road to tread.
Yeah.
Because we tread it every day. But if you can get it right and the clients trust your vision over time, then they'll be back time and time again.
Yeah, definitely.
So, Darren, the third question is, how do you balance creativity with the practical demands of running a business?
Yeah, well, I guess my first answer is I don't.
That's why you employ staff to help.
In a sense, yeah, we took the shift that, because I was the designer, I was the technician in the business for years.
Yeah.
Which is good and bad. Maybe one of the hardest things about running a business is if you are the technician, because it's very hard to step out of that role to run the business and drive it forward whilst the work continues to happen.
Yeah.
Because there can be a tendency to want to control everything that comes out of the studio.
Oh, yeah.
And because it's your baby and you care about it. So I don't do the design work anymore, but I oversee, and so I take on the role of creative director. So I take on the training of my team and the oversight of all the key work that comes out, giving direction. So more like a trainer, based on all the years I've been doing it. So, but my company balances creativity with running a business. I think the main jump for us about this was making sure that the design work we were doing is commercially viable.
Yep.
So designers are really bad for just following the flow and just going, oh, this will be awesome, let's do this.
Time sheets.
Yeah. Let's just do this, and oh, but what about that? And then let's do that, and we're like, whoa! And you jump in 4 hours later and go, what are you doing? It's a 2-hour budget, and they just needed to answer a question, get something out the door. It doesn't need to win a design award. This one, it's not the good use of their budget, and we've burnt half a day because you're having fun, and learning that lesson was quite tricky for us. We have to keep having that commercially viable thing. Is it its effective use of their budget, and knowing when to then take the creative leap. So when the budget allows it, when the client's needs require it, go right, let's go to town, let's try something a bit special. But that's, again, the studio coordinator role is to be on the budget and going, whoa, why are you entering the third, fourth hour on that when we should be at visual 1 by now because the budget only allows a total of X amount? So, yeah.
Yeah, but I couldn't find the right font.
Yeah. Yeah, and it leads to over-servicing the client. So that's been a hard one I found, and you'll come across this a lot. It's very, we care about our clients. We care about the success of the work that we do for them. We want it to make a difference to them because we want them to come back, and we also want them to do well. And so you can have a tendency to just keep working at it, keep pushing it, just trying to give them the best job you can possibly do. But what you've done is you've given away a day that no one's paid you for. And when you give away enough days, it doesn't work anymore.
But it does. I mean, we've not touched on this yet, but like wearing the commercial hat. We do it, and I know that you do it as well. Sometimes you want to spend a bit more time in it because it's a sprat to catch a mackerel. So what I mean by that is that sometimes you're working on a project and it may be like the first project within that industry sector. And you think, well, if I spend a bit more time on that, one, the client's going to benefit from it, as long as you point out that you've gone above and beyond their budget, mind you, and the reasons why you're doing that. But secondary is obviously you're doing that extra or spending that extra time of your own budget to basically try and land either an equal or better client.
Yes.
And, we've done that lots of times. I know that you have as well. I haven't spoken to you for quite a while. So, I think you need to sometimes, and it's not necessarily the designer that will wear that sort of commercial hat. Sometimes it's, somebody like yourself that's overseeing the business that will look at a project and say, well, look, the client's only dedicated 4 hours budget-wise to produce this piece of work. But we know that if we spend a bit more time, then it's going to be a great portfolio piece, which hopefully will then land us another bigger client.
That's it. Yeah, balancing the portfolio in the mind is always good because if it's a new sector that you've not got anyone in,
exactly,
you think this could be worth half a day. Let's make it really good. And I don't know if you've done this, but some clients have, I would say, good taste and really have a good idea of where they want to go, and some clients don't have any taste, and that's not me slamming them. It's they don't work in that visual way. They don't emotionally read out of color and space and type like we do. So they don't always get it. So they want a result, but they don't necessarily see why that's important. And so you have this thing where you get a brief and you start doing the work and you go, this would be great, this will really hit the target market. And then it comes to feedback time, and then they set about destroying the work, which it happens regularly.
Demoralising.
And
thanks for that.
And then we go, well, okay, but then we'll try to barter on, but push them to keep some of it in. But essentially what happens is you end up, it becomes a lesser thing than it would have been if they allowed us to fully go at it the way we thought best. That sounds a bit arrogant, but hey, it is what we do for a living. We've spent our whole lives training in it. We are better placed to make those calls about what will land emotionally with the target market. So I guess we had times in our work where that's happened and the client's feedback is like depleted work, and then you go, right, there it is. We're really happy with that. And we're like, oh, make the logo bigger. Oh,
designer's worst nightmare.
Make it pop a bit more. Can you put that in bold and underlined? Could you make that larger? And you go, oh, you're destroying it. And in times like that, thinking about the portfolio and thinking about the future, we've actually kept the original visual and sometimes promoted that. So this is the work we would have done. Here's your finished work, Mr. Client.
But it's a good point because, I mean, sometimes like clients think they know their target audience really well, and they do from, maybe a sales level. And, if they're going out seeing a client, they will get a general sense of what the client's like or dislike. But more often, they're talking about their existing client base. And quite often when you're doing campaign work, for instance, you're trying to tap into a new audience or increase the audience to a wider kind of demographic. So that's where, these companies need to trust our judgment, because quite often we've worked, I mean, I know we have as well, worked in so many different sectors that we've worked with those target audiences quite often, and different age demographics, different socio-economic groups, and what have you. And so again, this comes back to what I was saying earlier about working with a client over time. In time, hopefully they will learn to trust your judgment. So not just the visionary side of things, but the actual visual output, with the aim to sell more product or aid inquiries or whatever the call to action might be. So
Yeah, definitely. I mean, the question is, how do you balance creativity with the practical demands? There's one other thing that would fit into that. We got the commercially viable design.
Yeah.
Ensuring we don't over-service the client. And the third one is around money, which I always found difficult coming from, I guess, my background. We grew up not with much money and with no aspirations of really making that much money.
Yeah.
So coming into the world where we charge money for our services was a difficult leap for me, because when I worked for other people did all the charging. They raised the invoices, they chased them, they justified why it was that much money. And then when you're running your own agency, you end up having to put value to what you're doing. And I always found that really hard, because I always felt like it was a bit of a dirty thing to go and ask people for
Feeling
money.
guilty.
Yeah, like, I can't believe I'm asking you for money
Yeah.
that we've put our heart and soul into this thing for you, which we think will really work for you, but don't suppose you give us a few £100s for that, would you? That was a really a harder step for me over the years of running a business, to get more confident about the money and to gain confidence to charge an appropriate value for what we do, to understand the value of what we do, and also to understand that the value of money to me is different to the value of money to you. It's different to the value of money to my client. And so what I think, so I say this piece of work's going to cost you £3,000, and to me, I'm like, that's quite a bit of money, and to them they're thinking, this is a bargain.
Yeah.
And
It's annoying when a client says it's a bargain.
Oh yeah, you don't want that.
Damn it.
No, but then again, there's this other side of it where I've worked in the past. The thing I didn't like about the industry was where you would quote people according to the shoes they were wearing.
Yeah.
I didn't really, that rubbed a bit weird with me, because it shouldn't really matter how much they can afford as to how much you charge them.
Yeah.
It should matter what sort of quality job they want.
Yeah.
And so I always wanted to be fair in my pricing. But actually, if the company just let me do this without my financial director keeping tabs on me, without my business partner keeping tabs on me, we'd be selling everything far too cheap, because money was not my strong point. But fortunately, we have people that help us do that.
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah.
So the next question is, what's the most valuable lesson you've learned from working with clients, good or bad? I mean, you've touched on a few of these things to date, but yeah, you can elaborate.
Okay. Yeah, so now I guess I should speak with a disclaimer, which is these things I'm talking about today are what we aim to do all the time.
Of course.
We don't always get it right. So if I say this is really important, I've learned this, does not mean I've got it right every time. So with that disclaimer in place, I continue to work towards living up to this vision of the company. And one of the key learnings I've had, or insights I've got, is about the importance of communication with clients. Is far more important, I would say, than the quality of the work you deliver them. And I'll explain into why that is the case.
Yeah, interesting.
So I always assume, and I have to remind myself it's not the case, that everyone's like me. I assume people see the world like I see it. I assume they think the way I think, that their values are the same as mine, and that they have the same sort of tastes and understanding about how things work as me. And it's just not the case. Well, thank goodness. The world would be a really scary place if
It
everyone
would.
was like that. But it took me a while to figure this out. And the problem with me assuming everyone was like me was I then assumed, well, they already know what's going on. They already understand what I've just sent them. So they don't need that explaining to them too much because it's quite obvious to me.
Yeah.
And that's just not the case. And I learned that over many hard lessons where the client got disengaged from us. The client felt out of the loop. The client just didn't know when they'd be expecting something. And that was a real problem. Hence why we needed to bring in a system to make sure that we were more organized as a set of creatives and making sure the customer knows what's happening, when to expect something, etc., etc. So the importance of communication, the importance of over communicating, and you've taught me this. You're really good at communicating. I would say you over communicate, which is actually really helpful. You say, I'm going to do this.
Yep.
I'm doing this. And then you say, I've done this.
Yeah.
You just know. It was like, yeah, I know. You told me you were going to do it. I would be like, I know. Yeah, you said you'd do it. So I try. But actually, some people just need that confirmation. Yep, just so you know. So everyone knows where they are. I've done this. Oh, it's brilliant. You feel they've not forgotten about me.
Yep.
I know where I stand. I know that I'm not expecting now anything till next Thursday. It's great. I don't need to be chasing them. It puts the client in a much safer space.
Well, you're managing client expectations. That's the golden rule at our place is, which I know is with yours as well, that it's, the amount of times we hear like, oh, so and so never got back to me for 3 or 4 days. Well, we don't hear that with our clients. Like, we have a rule that we always get back to a client within 12 hours. Right? It's absolute worst case scenario. Normally it's within an hour. Even if it's just to say that, we can't look at this right now, but we'll action it, we'll take a look at it properly tomorrow or whenever it might be. And then that manages the client's expectations. But to just hear nothing, and even like you touched on, like even throughout a project as well, sometimes like we're working on, massive websites, might be 20K budget. It could take several months to put together. We have weekly or bi-weekly catch-ups with a client to say, we're at this stage, we're going to need this from you, what do you need from us? What were you expecting to see? Is the timeline moved? You haven't delivered this by this date. That means that the end date needs to move unless we can do this. So just communicating like every step of that process, I think, just puts the client's mind, like you said, at ease. And so, I would agree with you that the client and customer service is as important as the output, because if you don't keep them informed, they're going to think, I've spent a lot of money, I've got no clue what's going on, and they're going to start, their minds is going to start wandering.
The level we're talking at, we're not going to deliver bad work. Your agency, my agency, we're not going to deliver bad work because our reputations are built on delivering good work. We've trained our lives for it. The level of good quality work, I think, has gone up over the years because of the access to tools and training and the freedom of information on the internet and all that stuff. So let's just put a disclaimer. We're all going to deliver good work, right?
Sorry, not all.
Okay.
We do see some really bad work.
In the sphere that we're working, we do some good work, right? But say I don't think a customer will leave you for delivering. If something's not as good as they wanted, I don't think they'll leave you for that. I think customers leave you because they think you don't care. So, like, they feel disconnected. Like they don't feel they're important to you. They don't feel like you've kept them informed. They don't feel safe, and therefore they're a bit rocky. And then when work comes in that wasn't exactly what they were expecting, they don't have the energy or the inclination to work with you to iron it out at visual stage and give feedback and change direction, which is what you do with healthy clients. They just would jump ship. And so I think that's the lesson I've learned. My business partner rallies on about it all the time. This doesn't go with just clients as well. It's suppliers. It's staff. Staff don't necessarily leave because the job's bad. Staff can leave because they think you don't care. You know, suppliers, same thing. I've had it with, we've lost staff in the past when we thought we were on it, but actually they felt disconnected and it wasn't working for them, and it was nothing to do with the quality of the work that we were delivering as a team. You know? So yeah, let me succinctly put that in a message. People don't leave because you deliver bad work. People will leave because they think you don't care.
Well said.
There's your social media little snapshot for the little... yeah.
So it brings us on to, that was quite succinctly put, that last statement, I must admit. So question number 5, what changes in the creative industry have most affected how your agency operates, and how have you adapted?
Okay. Well, there's been a lot of changes over the years, and you're longer in the tooth than me.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, you started out with pen and paper.
No, I think I was scribing on stone, I think, when I started.
Yeah, I mean, so much change. I was having a good think about this. I think the biggest change for us is with the introduction of new tools that give design ability to the everyday person.
Yeah.
Like your Canvas and your Adobe Expresses, AI agents asking them to create you things. There's been a rapid change in people's perception of what's possible, and I think what the value of this stuff is. So you turn the telly on and you see adverts for slick people who've never done it before, and they're like, oh, I need a flyer for my event, and they just go press a button, and then suddenly it does this amazing thing, puts together a video for them, and then they're doing their product launch, and it's a success and everyone's cheering, and it just looks so easy. It's not that easy, but people don't know that because they're not wrestled with it. They don't know what it's like to actually try to deliver quality work, where they're just being sold the lie that these things do make it easier for you, but they've been sold the lie that you just press that button, put the right prompt in, and it all comes out beautifully, and that's going to connect with your target audience beautifully, and your company's going to soar. It just isn't true. And therefore, because we're being surrounded by that messaging, we're finding that clients and potential clients are not valuing what we do as an industry as much as they used to. For instance, I was at a client's recently, and they asked me to do a video for them. Not a difficult video, a video to go in the front window of their offices. Just to roll around some images and movement, some drone photography and videos and such, and some messaging just coming up, no sound. And we were like, well, it's going to be about 10 hours to really pull that together, something like that. And he was like, why does it take so long? I know people that they throw videos out on social and it takes them like an hour, an hour and a half. And I was like, do they? Well, if you use them, honestly, I can't compete. If they can do it we genuinely can't do it like that. Tools are speeding us up, and we can do a lot more with the time, but to do a decent job and allow for the time to then get feedback from them, then adjust, and then get feedback from them, then adjust, and then export it in the final format and trim the file size, and then deliver a complete job to them, takes more than an hour and a half of pressing pressing a bloody button. And my that quote comes from a lady I used to work with. She was an old guard in a marketing business, and she didn't know computers at all. And she used to come in, and a client would ask for something. She'd come into the design studio, and she'd say, "Oh, the client wants this, that, and the other." And I'd say, "It's going to be 4 hours." And she'd say, "What? Can't you just press a bloody button?" So I always have this thing of, just press the bloody button, and it will just do it for you.
Yeah.
We are closer to the bloody button now.
Well, we are, yeah.
But it's not quite there.
No,
Yeah.
I think I agree. I mean, what gets missed in all this quite often, yes, you can create some fancy looking graphics now, like you said, with the AI agents and those kind of systems, even in Photoshop, for instance. But you still need the concept and the campaign message in order to sell that service or that product.
Yeah.
Or create or generate an inquiry. So, and I think that quite often gets missed. And we think that, us as a business, yes, we use AI, but we use it as a tool, and we don't use it, infinitum to create everything for us, because it's just soulless. It doesn't create what we need. And quite often as well, we find that there's a lot of input that you need to put in there. And sometimes, like, to put that level of input into a system, it'd be far quicker to actually, go into Adobe Stock and get a stock image and manipulate it and create what you need in probably less time.
Yeah.
So yeah, what we find is, like, using those systems is really useful for our clients. But the core thing still has to stand. Is it on brand?
Yeah.
Does it have the correct messaging? And more often than not, especially when we see it from clients' output, we even create Canva templates, let's say, for some of our clients as well. And when we see them sort of go off and use their own thoughts, and and they're just free reign in Canva or whatever system they're using, you will then see what we call brand creep, where we set off with these templates, and we sometimes, in many cases, we provided them with the templates, but then at some point they've gone, well, I want to use green, even though their corporate color is blue.
Yeah.
So it goes green, and then the next iteration is then green something else and green something else again, and before you know it, and they might change up the typefaces, and it might change up other colors, or bring in rogue sort of clip art type elements and things. And over time, what we found is that, when clients have done that and they're using these systems, okay, visually it might look great. Is it on brand? Is it heck?
Yeah.
And it just drifts over time, and that's what we're seeing more and more, sadly.
Yes, that is the problem with clients trying to be the art workers in their business, because it's not necessarily their skill set. It's not about making it look pretty, is it?
No.
Making it look pretty is not going to increase your sales.
No.
It might just match and blend in with the other pretty stuff.
Exactly.
It's not about making it look pretty. It's about making it connect and get a response, an appropriate response from the people you're targeting. That's the difference, isn't it? And that I always said to my kids, like, design, it's more like being a color psychologist. Like, I'm in the business of psychology. I'm in the business of understanding how people think and feel, and manipulating, in the sinister sense of the way, with visual tools and space and type, how they feel when they come into contact with this thing. And that bringing in balance that feeling of how they feel. They feel safe, or they feel understood, or they feel like they're in really professional, accurate hands. Whatever the desired message is, that they feel that way.
Yeah.
That's the game. That's why people pay us. That's why people should pay us, and that's why people shouldn't do too much on their own.
Yep.
With that said, the world's changing, and businesses need to be able to deliver their own marketing materials as well as pay agencies like ourselves. It's not financially viable for a lot of companies to get an agency to deliver all their outbound stuff.
No, that's right.
And so we're trying to work with people to help them to understand how to use these templates, try to set these templates up for them to be brand safe.
Yep.
And give them some sort of like guidance and reviews on it as well. Like, we had an arrangement with one client when they did their own things. Just buzz it to us in the Teams channel.
Yep.
One of our team will check it, make sure it's on brand, or give you a little bit of feedback, and then say, that's great, just you've messed up your exclusion zone around the logo a bit, push that in a bit, that type's a bit large, reduce that a bit, you're good to go. So they're only paying for 15 minutes of our time rather than an hour and a half.
Yep.
But they're not losing sight of the brand of the
that's right.
And I think that's where it's going, really, for us.
Yeah, and we've done the same, and we've even gone to the point where, and we had one of the divisions of the NHS that we're doing work for, and we set up some templates for them, but then they wanted some creative guidance as to how to use the templates for best practice to make sure that every piece of collateral thereafter was on brand. And obviously the NHS has very strict, tight guidelines as well, so we need to make sure that they adhere to that. So, and any new sort of creative work that they're going to create, we kind of talk to them about how we come up with our creative processes and yeah, just our workflow and how we kind of generally work. So we did that, and we had this lady in, and we basically trained her. Spent the day with us, going through all our processes, thought processes, and how we would implement those changes and create new assets using the templates that we created.
Yeah.
And it's worked amazingly well, and they've just run with it. And if they get stuck at any point, like you know, they come back to us saying, look, you know, we created this, what do you think? And then we can say, well, actually, you know, it looks like you say, exclusion zones or wrong typeface or sizes or whatever it might be.
Yeah.
And we can pull them back in line. So over time, that brand creep doesn't happen.
Yeah,
So,
definitely. I think there's a move in our industry from not for creative agencies to not be seen as the gatekeepers of design,
yeah,
and moving to become more of the guides to help build a sure foundation for our customers, to help them create the templates and the structures and the brand guidelines that they need to train, to overview what they're outputting, but enable them to deliver on a load of the work themselves. I think that's a change, and I think there will be some agencies that will be left behind on it. I think some people, there can be a snobbery about what we do. You know, some of the jokes we've had about our clients, you know, it can seem like, oh, us high up here, like, what do they know about style? They should just let us do everything. We say it with a humility, but there is a lot of snobbery in our industry as well.
yeah,
And the, you know, the clients can be villainified. I think that's the word, villainified. Yeah, a little bit. And actually, we don't want to be that. We don't want to be that. We want to be enablers of our clients to deploy their brand really well in a safe environment where they've got support. And I think that's the direction that we travel.
You kind of touched on sort of similar subject earlier on in the podcast, but we're big believers of people should stay in their lane.
Yeah.
So when you are talking the overarching brand look and feel, you go to a creative branding agency. But the implementation of that brand can be done. You know, sometimes it might be business card changes or something like that.
Yeah.
New name, new person's just come on board. Yes, you could send it to a creative agency and they could probably do it in less time, to be fair.
Yeah.
But they can create their own assets.
Yeah.
So, but it's having the guidance, you know, to do that. And that's where, you know, having creative agency help really does genuinely help.
Yeah.
So it's the ones that go off, they've had the branding done, they then go off and do their own thing. And that's, as I say, where we see brand creep happening, where you created X, it ends up in a year, 2 years' time at Y, and it looks nothing like the original intention of the brand.
Yeah. And then when the contract comes around for you to redo their stuff, they say, oh, actually, we're going to go look elsewhere because our sales have gone down a bit.
Exactly.
And we're like, well, that wasn't us. We gave you the stuff, but you've taken it in that direction.
Yeah.
Though that is interesting. Go to specialists in their lane for the right reasons.
Yeah.
So this my pitch to camera will be: if you need good branding, go to Whitespace. If you can't afford Whitespace, come to SPS Marketing. That's basically how this works, okay? Because we all have our different lanes. You guys go far deeper into the brand discovery, and you've got a lot of experience in the luxury brand market and in the bigger organizations, and not everyone can access that stuff. And then that's where people need to come down the chain a little bit and go, well, we need a good job, but we can't pay the big city bits. You know, you're not massive fees, but you know, there's cut-off points, isn't there? You know, if you've got a budget like of under $3,000 for branding, then you've got to pick different options, haven't you? And so knowing which people are good for which things is good. But
that is a good point, actually. Different level of clients.
Yeah.
You know, we can work with small one-man bands, and we do actually, but you know, price point wise, they're looking for a massive branding project, then it is going to cost them a lot of money.
Yeah.
And it's whether they'd be better off going to a smaller, either a freelancer or a smaller agency.
Yeah. And I'd always encourage them to not choose a freelancer. Sorry, freelancers, I've been one and I employ freelancers, but
Me too.
the problem is with freelancers is you don't know if they're going to get a job next year. and the amount of people that come to us, they got a freelancer to do a good job, and they did a good job, but that's when their heart was in it, and that's when they were in that stage in their life.
Yeah.
And then things change on an instant. Their life circumstances change. They have a baby. They want to move away. They need to get a job because people aren't paying quick enough. And I've been there. I mean, that's why I used to freelance years ago, and I took a job because people weren't paying my invoices quick enough. And so the people I was serving, well, where did I go? I ended up having to work for a company. So there's no stability in it. So like if you're an organization, a company that cares about the direction you're traveling and want to grow, then use an agency. Don't use a freelancer, and then just pick the agency that gets you and fits within your budget.
Yeah.
Really. Yeah.
Well, budget and culture.
Yes. Yeah. Definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah. Definitely. Like I think someone came to me the other day and said, "Oh, well, I'm someone in the medical profession," and they're like, "Can you show me examples of what you've done in the medical profession?" And I could. I'd done a nice brand for some private cardiologists. Yep. I say we, my team. I was in the room.
The royal we.
I was in the room when they did it. It looks great. But I have that example, but it's a bit of a strange ask because we're in the business of communication. So, and making people feel a certain way. So whether it's in education or construction or charity or medical, it's all the same game.
Yeah.
Who are you trying to reach? How do you want to make them feel? What are your values? What's your price point? What is your lane? Who do you not want to attract? What are you definitely not? And that's what forms a solid brand.
Yeah.
So, or a website, or however you're going to do their van wraps, or whatever the job is. So I always find it a bit funny when people want you to show them multiple items in the industry they're in. I'm pretty sure that's not going to help you because that's what everyone else looks like.
Yep.
Our solution for you is going to be completely different to that because you need to stand out for the right reasons.
Yeah.
So let me show you something we did in the construction industry, and let me show you something we did in the charity sector, and I want to talk you through about why these worked and how we stood out for the right reasons and why that's done well for them. We can apply this to your industry.
Yeah. So that brings us on to the last question, which is what advice or secrets would you share with other creative business owners, whether they're just starting out or already established, including the things you believe are essential to do and the pitfalls you'd warn them to avoid? So the do's and don'ts, in essence.
What advice would I give to a poor sucker who's feeling confident and they'd like to enter this market space?
Don't do it!
It's worth it and it's not worth it, isn't it? But it is worth it. And I think that is a cycle I live in. It's is it really worth it? I mean, surely I should just get a job someday and just like let someone else take the stress, and then you get a few wins and do some great jobs and you go, oh, this is awesome. There's nothing like it. Running your own company and it doing well and seeing the value it adds. What advice would I give? What do I wish people would have said to me? The first one is read books. So if you're a creative working in the design industry or whatever creative sector you're in, you're a technician. You know how to do your craft. You do not know how to structure a business, how to do healthy finances, how to lead a team, how to do HR, how to employ people, even how to market yourself. And for me, it was like read books about how we keep ourselves accountable and humble. How do we build systems that are efficient? Because other people's systems don't actually work for us. We have had to build our own systems, as you've done. You start something, you try it, bits of it work, bits of it fall away. You try something else, you speak to someone else, they say, well, we use this system and that's really good. And you take a part of that, you merge it in, and it's this trial and error. So for me, it's like read, try it, read, try it, read, try it. The second thing is about failure and changing your mindset about failure. So I've struggled with this one over the years, and I got this great quote: don't see failure as a final verdict, see failure as feedback. So we fail every week. We do. Like, we failed this week. We've also had some successes this week. Life is like that. You have some wins and you have some losses, and some things aren't either. They just feel like a failure. So don't see it as final verdict. Oh, that failed. You start looking for evidence to say why you're not good at what you're doing, and that's just a downward spiral.
Yep.
So it's just feedback. Look, we tried that. That used to work. That no longer works. I don't know if you're finding this, but the world's changing so fast that what used to work no longer works.
Yeah.
And so we're like, you'd think at this stage in our careers, we'd have it down. This is our process. This is what people need. This is how we do it. And then suddenly it's like, oh, the world's changed again. What do people need now? What will they need next year? So we're having to constantly reinvent, just reassess how we do it.
Yeah, and keeping up to date with it. I mean, we do, as you know, a lot more marketing than you guys, but I think the whole marketing sector is just moving exponentially. Like you blink every week and there's something new in the marketing kind of stream. Whereas the design sector is, like on the creative side, it's, everybody's shouting about AI, and it is. It's again, week on week it is changing.
Yes.
So, but it's making sure that the clients benefit from those changes. So it's not, don't jump on a bandwagon just because like it's the in thing, right? We should be using this system, should be using that system. Great. If that system is going to benefit the client and aid our creativity and going to benefit their brand, brilliant. Fill your boots. But if it doesn't, and it's just a system out there that everybody else is jumping on, but there's no benefit to it commercially, then why use it?
Yeah, definitely. And it's just keeping a fresh eye on what's actually happening and adjusting and not being afraid to throw something out and try something new. That's a key takein for me. Yeah. So another one is getting your money up front.
Yep.
It's been a hard lesson for me to learn because like I said earlier, I don't like asking for money. But what I've come to learn is if potential clients are all excited about doing a project, say, yep, that's great. And then if you send over an invoice for 50% of the job and they don't pay it, or there's a slowdown, they're probably not going to pay your final invoice. So you'd rather find out then.
Yep.
What we used to do is say, we'll do a stage payment, we'll get cracking on the work, we start doing all the work, then we send the first stage payment at like a third in, and for whatever reason they decide that they don't want to pay it, we've invested all that time, and we got nothing for it. So now we take that risk out by saying, well, it's 50% up front, that's your commitment to the project. Like, don't enter into business with us if you're not serious about going through the whole process with us. Because it doesn't work by getting to the first visual stage and then going, I'm not really sure about the direction of that, and then pulling out. Like, that's just rubbish. I've had that happen, which is really the strangest thing. Because why would you pull out at visual 1 when you're in a 4 or 5 visual process, and the feedback from the first visual is what leads you closer to the route they're looking for? By visual 3, you're like, right, now this is really going in the right. I really like this. People think you're this magic wizard that like suddenly it's going to be absolutely what I'm thinking of in visual 1. No, it's not. We'd like to pull out and we're not going to pay our invoice. Like, no, we need protection against that. So we started writing into our terms, we'll invoice you up front. We don't start work until the money is in our bank. That's your commitment to the project. And then we will commit to doing the project too. And then the second one is at the end of the process, when it's all delivered.
Is that on a sort of a monetary value that you would do that, or would you do that literally with every client, every project? Or?
Monetary value does affect it. So on the bigger projects, we break it down into more. So we wouldn't do 50% of a huge project. We might do like 33%, three payments of 33%. But we won't start work until we've received the money. Very occasionally, don't tell anyone, but if they're a really great client and we have a great relationship with them and they're a little late in paying their invoice and we've got a little gap in the schedule, we'll get cracking. But officially, no one knows.
I won't say a word.
Officially,
Mum's the word.
No one knows that. But for everyone else, it's just, nope, that's been great. So yeah, tip for you, read books. Build your company through trial and error. Don't see failure as a final verdict.
Yeah.
See it as feedback. get your money up front. Okay, so my last point is, and this might be controversial, I don't know if you'll agree or not,
Yep.
but perfectionism is the enemy of growing a business.
Controversial.
It is controversial, but I was talking to my business partner about this morning on a Teams call, and he really agreed with me on this. I think it was his idea. He says, it's very hard to grow a business if you need everything to be perfect before it's delivered. You can't. It's not commercially viable. It's a strange place to live in our heads, isn't it? As creatives, we can see how it could be made better all the time. Oh, but if we just did this and we spent a bit more time, and A, that's not commercially viable. B, you're over-servicing the client. C, it's probably wasted on a client because what is good enough to get out the door is probably fantastic for them, and that's what they've agreed to. That's what they're paying you for. So get it good enough. Get it out the door and then get the feedback. And then if it needs nudging further, that will come through in the feedback. But for me, perfectionism has been the enemy of progress in growing our creative agency. And being a little bit quicker and holding things a little bit looser has given us some surprises. Sometimes the client's been over the moon with what we sent them. I thought, wow, I never thought they'd go for that option. That wouldn't have been my choice, but brilliant. They're really happy. Yeah.
I think it's a good point, actually. I mean, I think, this comes back to like designers, and as you said, like some designers over time, like learning the sort of commercial minded thought processes of being a graphic designer, I think takes time. It's not something you can master just overnight. You just can't. And I think the ones that can master, I should say, the commercial side of their thinking. So, okay, I might have like 3 or 4 different ideas, but ultimately, this project only allows 4 hours of my time. So I need to pick the best design that can be as close to perfect as possible, but within that time frame.
Yes.
Right. And that's generally how I work. And yes, you can, even after you've designed it, yes, you're right. You could go back to it and probably spend another 2 or 3 hours if you wanted to. But I think having that commercially minded awareness as a graphic designer isn't something that every person can handle, and it's certainly out of the box. Putting somebody straight out of the university, let's say, that's got their design degree, sit them in front of a computer and say, right, go on then, you've got to create this social media asset that's got to do X, Y, Z, and you've only got an hour. Crack on. Chances are they'll probably take 4 times as long, because they haven't got that commercial awareness yet, and also that thought process where they need to narrow it down to think, well, actually, I know I really would love to do this, but realistically, I've only got time to do that, so I'll just do that. And I'll do that to the best of my ability within the time. So it's just becoming commercially aware, really.
Knowing where to draw that line and go, good enough, get out the door, let's see what they say. So there's one other thing that I'm thinking about regarding advice to people starting out in the creative agency world, running a business. And it's about, how do we charge appropriately for what we do? And we bill ourselves out on time, essentially. We have an hourly rate, it's currently £70 an hour. We calculate how many hours it's going to be, try and build a few contingency hours in for real life issues, and then say we reckon we can get it done in that, and then commit to that, and then get it done. And then if the brief changes, we can re-quote, but pretty much it comes in under that. But the problem I found, so our designer Craig, who cooks a mean curry, he as he's been with us longer, he's getting better. It's getting faster. So we charge less. How does that work? So we say, right, okay, we're doing a 36-page magazine for this organisation, and it used to take X hours, and now we're doing it quicker. So what, the bill goes down? That's wrong. That's just completely wrong. So there's a couple of ways of doing it, isn't it? You put your hourly rates up. But I have a little problem with the hourly rates up because although Craig's really fast at doing the page layout stuff, it might be a little different when we do a different discipline.
Yeah.
So how do we measure that? So maybe thinking about charging according to the value that's being delivered rather than the time it takes to do it.
Yeah.
Is something I'd say to think about.
Yep.
Because we should not be penalised for getting good at our jobs.
No.
It's that age-old story of the bike mechanic, and you go to them and they spend 3 minutes and they charge you 70 quid. And they say, well, that did not take 70 quid's worth of time. It's like, no, I spent 30 years learning to diagnose that in 3 minutes.
Yeah.
That's what you're paying for. It doesn't
Exactly
matter. And I went to do a pitch to an organisation, a company, this year. And we presented all the pricing and all the proposals and all the methodology and this is our process. And they really liked it, what it had done. But when it got to the number, they were like, they're an organisation that charged their time for stuff. And they said, but this price, how many hours does that take to do? I said, that's irrelevant.
Yeah.
If you want this done, for us to do it, it will cost you this. But he couldn't get his head around it. He was like, yeah, but how long? How long will it take someone? How long will someone sit there and do that? And he needed to quantify the amount of time before he could justify spending the money. And I was like, that's completely irrelevant.
Is it a law firm then?
No, not a law firm, but I
second you phone them up.
Yeah.
Click, right.
But it was really hard because
running.
he could not get past that idea that he needed to understand how much time it takes. But it's irrelevant, isn't it? Completely irrelevant. It's about what is the value the end product will do and the benefit it makes for that company. And whether we spent 12 hours or 46 hours is completely irrelevant because they've got the same end result.
Yeah. I mean, it's return on investment. That's what, we bang on about. And I know, a lot of companies do the same. But ultimately, that is it. It's, okay, you might spend a bit more money with yourselves, but it's the end result. If the phone rings, inquiries come in, they sell more product, more services, then does the cost really matter? Yeah. And we hammer home to our clients, it's not a cost, it's an investment.
Yeah.
And that word is so important in our sector, and I think too often it gets missed. They look at the value of it and the overall cost, if you like, how much money am I going to be spending? But what's the end result? The end result is you're spending 10 grand, let's say, but you might get 30 to 50 grand's worth of work and inquiries in by spending that 10 grand. If you spent £1,000, you might get one inquiry that might cost you £1,000, right? And then you're no better off.
Yeah, investment is a key word. We're using that all the time. And when we sell brand guidelines and say, let's work to create the rules, make it easy for your team to understand, these are what you do, this is what you don't, this is the rules of how you use it, I always frame it in, it's important to protect this investment you've made. You've invested in developing a brand that resonates better, that represents you more authentically. Don't waste that investment by letting people who have got not much idea just loose at it.
Yeah.
It's not going to give you the return you want. So for every £1 you spend with us, what do you want back? £3, £4, £5? That's your investment. So by sticking to your brand guidelines, we guarantee that you'll get a better return than if you don't stick to your brand guidelines. Yeah.
Very well put.
There you go.
Well, that kind of brings us to the end of this. Well, I found it very interesting. I hope you guys did too. But yeah, there will be other versions of this or other episodes of this with about creative success for business owners and their secrets coming up again shortly in the next coming months. So yeah, just want to thank Darren for his time. It's been great. I've enjoyed it. I hope you have too.
Yeah, it's been fun. I'm never on telly normally, so hi, Mum.
So yeah, thank you very much.
Yeah, cheers, mate.